Hi, welcome back to Unicycle Basics. My name is Finn, and today we're talking about brakes. Learning how to use the brake can help you in a variety of ways. It can take some work off your legs so you can ride longer. It can also really help you ride down steeper stuff, and it may even make you a faster rider. So let's get started. Before we get started on using the brake, I want to make a quick note about setting it up. On almost every brake, there will be a small adjuster or a small screw to adjust the distance of the brake lever. Use that adjuster to set the distance of the brake lever to a comfortable distance away from your handle, whichever handle you're using. You want to be able to grab the handle with at least 3 fingers and have 1 finger or at most 2 fingers on the brake lever. If you're not able to grip the handle strongly and control your braking fingers independently of that, you're setting yourself up for failure. Ideally, you've now found a setup that works well for you. So let's learn how to use the brake. In the beginning, start out on a nice and gentle downhill. Something that isn't too steep, that isn't too rough, that you can easily ride down with just your feet as a brake. Ride down that hill with one hand on the handle. If you can't do that, you should learn that and then come back. Having one hand comfortably on the handle is a requirement to brake properly. Put 1 finger on the brake lever and slowly start pulling in the brake lever. Don't pull it too quickly or you'll just get surprised by the braking and get thrown off the front.
Once the brake lever gets firm and the pads contact the disc, just keep your finger there and experience what the small amount of braking you are getting is doing to your unicycle. Once you're comfortable with that, start pulling the brake harder and harder. Do that really slowly so that you can see how the unicycle reacts. You will have to work against the seat getting pulled forward and have to lean back to compensate for the extra braking. You can also now take some pressure off your feet so that you don't have to use them as much to brake when you're going downhill. That's pretty much how you're going to use the brake in the beginning. Just adding some extra drag so that you don't have to brake as hard with your feet and you can relax your legs on a downhill. Only change the amount of braking slowly and do balancing work with your legs. With some practice, you can adjust the brake pressure to a point where you're only using your legs to pedal along, and then add some small inputs, maybe a bit of accelerating or a bit of slowing down to keep your balance, but you're not really driving the wheel forward or braking it with your legs.
Using the brake to take pressure off your legs is great. Hopefully, you can now relax them a bit more and start riding downhills for longer without getting too tired. But at some point, I think you should start challenging yourself again. Find yourself a downhill that has a lot of changing grades. Some steep downhills, some flat, maybe even some uphill. If you ride down those trails, you have to change the amount of braking a lot, which is what I call dynamic braking.
This is just my name for a skill that will come naturally as you're using the brake in more and more difficult terrain. My goal is just that you're not only thinking about the brake as a passive drag brake. You can use the brake to make balance adjustments and control your speed, just like you would with your feet.
Using the brake instead of your legs isn't just great because it's less exhausting. If you're using your legs, you can put in a lot of braking when the cranks are horizontal. When the cranks are vertical, you can put in almost no braking. If you're using the brake, you can provide constant braking force no matter the pedal position. On a steep and slippery downhill like this one, this is a massive advantage because you want to brake right at the limit of traction and not go over or under it.
A quick note here. If you lose traction when braking, you have to let off the brake and pedal faster to stop the wheel from sliding. If you over brake, the wheel will slide out in front of you. A skilled braking finger is much more precise than your legs ever could be. I couldn't imagine riding down this with just my legs to brake.
The next topic is using the brake to stop. It's interesting how this is one of the last points of this video, whereas on a bike, it's probably the first thing you do. But on a unicycle, it really does require a bit more skill and a bit more setup. If you just pull the brake hard, you're going to get thrown off the front.
To prevent this, kick the wheel out in front before getting onto the brake. Notice how I'm leaning back in anticipation of the braking forces that will try and throw me off the front. As always, start slow and in easy situations. I would recommend practicing this on every dismount for a while. Just use the brake to slow down until you're coming to a stop. As this becomes more and more natural, you can start getting more and more aggressive with the amount of braking. What I'm showing you here is the result of years of practice. Looking a lot less stable in the beginning is normal, and falling is part of the process.
That's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed watching and you learned something. If you have further questions, ask them in the comments or on the unicyclist.com forum or the Unicycle Chat Facebook group, where other riders can also help you out. See you in the next one. Unicycle Basics is a passion project for me. I'm doing to try and grow this awesome sport. So if you want to help out, the most important thing you can do is sharing these videos with anyone you think is interested in mountain unicycling. Also, like and subscribe on YouTube, so the YouTube algorithm will feed this to as many people as possible. If you want to help out with money and pay for some of the snacks I consumed when making these videos and some of the equipment I got, there will be a link in the description.